smash that like button and subscribe, or I'm gonna end up homeless. Alright, so for today's video, we're going to be making a Roblox Bedwars kit tier list. It is going to include all 44 kits, and this video is being made around the time or the same week that the Cyber kit came out. So if you're watching this video late, just expect some of the things not to make sense in this tier list. On that note, I do just want to let you guys know that there is 44 kits, and if I spent even just a minute talking about each one, that would be a 44-minute video plus intro, outros. You know, we don't want an hour-long tier list, so bear with me if I do not give you enough information to fully make you understand why I put the kits where I did. On that note, it is just my opinion, so who really cares? And on that note, let's dive right into these kits and this tier list. Alright, so we're going to start off this tier list speed run. I calculated that if I use like 10 seconds per each kit, we'll make like an 8-minute video, so that's what we're going to attempt to do. So we're going to do this in alphabetical order, starting with Airy. I put that S tier. Do I need to say any more? The next up we have Alchemist, D tier, bad since he can't dupe stuff anymore. When he could dupe stuff, he was really spicy. Archer, B tier. Bow spam is real. Aries, B. Spear spam can kill scripters, which is pretty useful sometimes. It can also kill players, and it is super cheap, 35 iron for this spear that does immense damage. Next up, Amy, S tier, late game god mode. If you've never played Amy late game, then you don't know what you're doing, because that shield and that healing axolotl, super juicy, plus the damage axolotl too. She's just really a good kit, never been nerfed. Next up, we got Baker in A tier, and that A tier is in apple spam and pies, super good. Barb is going to be A tier, free best sword in the game, although I think things like Airy are kind of outshining him in the offensive field. I still do like Barbarian though. Next up we got Beekeeper, and I'm going to put Beekeeper S tier because splitting the beehive and a generator, I've been doing that recently, and it's super juicy for just getting tons and tons of emeralds. Super strong. Bounty Hunter, a C tier. It kind of depends on the game mode. I feel like game modes with more players or 30v30 just makes this kit completely useless because you have to hunt specific people. Next up we got Builder, which I'm going to give B tier. Super good at stopping fireball and TNT, and I feel like a lot of people have grown accustomed to throwing fireballs or TNT in every bed they see now because blocks are just so strong now. And she can also guard beehives, so Beekeeper Builder, it's a good comp. You should try it. Next up, Crocowolf, D tier, because I think it's personally overrated. Next up, I got Cyber at S tier because it's bussin' and it steals all of the loot. Keep in mind, this is before it's gotten any nerfs. I'm sure it will catch a nerf very soon. Elder Tree, C tier, it's a tree. Farmer, D tier, because in my opinion, it's the slowest farmer in the game, unless it's late game or you have other farmer kits boosting his farming speed. Then Fisher, that's going to be a B tier, and the note I put there is just RNG is a lifestyle. You never know what you're going to fish up. Sometimes you get a goldfish on your first fish and just cruise right ahead and win the game. Other games you're going to get nothing but iron all game, but typically you don't get stuck with iron all game, so B tier. Freya, C tier, slows but doesn't really matter too much. I don't ever see any really good Freya players, plus you can't really buy the best sword in the game, or the second best sword I should say. Next up, Frosty, E tier, slows. Removed the slow debuff, was more like they should have just removed the kit from the game because it ruined it. Next up we got Gingerbread. He's a D tier. He's just a bouncy boy, get a little shield, I don't know, nothing real spicy going on there. Gompy, I also put him in D tier. He's just the ghost boy. He goes and eats ghosts and shoots them at you. Can get some good snipes with it or good kills, but typically not that great. Grim Reaper, B tier, not as good as it once was. It is still decent, but it's nowhere near what Grim Reaper used to be. Jack Kit, C tier, best kit for making your gen camping teammates useful. And that is a true, and if you haven't seen my Jack video, I suggest checking it out and you'd understand how you can turn your useless teammates who camp your generator into useful teammates who funnel you stuff. Next up we got Jade, D tier, as in died with its nerf. Nobody really plays Jade no more, everybody's moved on to main and Uzi. Next up we got Lassie, which is F tier, and then I put please tell the developers to fix me. The developers really need to buff this kit, nobody plays it. Melody, B tier for bussin' support. Now that she heals herself and the person she's healing, super strong late game. She was already really good, but that buff made her just even that much better. Next up, you got Metal Detector, S tier. It's uber rich and it gets geared way too fast, seeing diamond armor on people at like 2-3 minutes in the game. So yeah, definitely gotta watch those metal detectors. Next up, we got Miner. He's a C tier for me. He's a bounty hunter clone, although I think he does it slightly worse, not as good of loot. But he's not bad. Nyx, that's B tier. It's an Airy wannabe. Pirate Davy, D tier. I was good, but then they buffed the price of cannons. Once they made it where you could launch out cannons, it was super good for rushing and stuff. And then they made the price of the cannons super expensive, so not that great anymore. So that's why it's D tier. Pyro, F tier. Jelly put me here because he used to main me, and then the developers seen one Tanqr video and ruined me. All right, next up we got Raven. C tier. Not a bad kit, but not great. Next up we have Santa, E tier. Does anyone even play this kit? Question mark. I think I've seen one Santa player in like my last 200 games. Next up I got Sheep Herder at C tier, an airy clone but worse. Then we got Shielder, B tier, and I just want to say I'm ready for Free Vulcan Week with that Shielder kit rework. And then that's gonna put us in Smoke, F tier. Why am I in the game? I don't think Smoke kit's ever really been relevant. It still really is pretty irrelevant. It does have some very niche things you could do with it, but for the most part, pretty useless. Then we got Spirit Catcher at C tier. I keep getting nerfed, and that is true. Spirit Catcher seems... I'm pretty sure Spirit Catcher has gotten the most nerfs in the game now at this point, almost. Trapper, F tier. What's my purpose now that there's invisible mines? Why aren't my traps invisible? We'll never know, Trapper. I feel so bad for you. Next up, we got Trinity. C, decent all-arounder. You can either go Light Angel or Void Angel, and you could do a little bit of both. As long as you're getting 3 kills, you can be a team player support, or you can be a life-stealing single offense fighter. Not as great as it used to be, but not bad. That's why it's C tier. Vanessa, B for bow spam is real. Void Reaver is Void Regent is going to be F tier. You paid $20 for a trash limited kit. Get wrecked. Vulcan, C tier. That's off-brand bow spam. Warrior is going to be A tier. I still have a season 1 game breaking bug. He does. He seriously still does. From all the way from back from season 1, when this man gets in his iron armor or sees warrior armor in the shop, you will no longer keep your diamond or emerald armor upon death. Instead, you will lose it, and you will no longer be able to buy diamond armor, but you can rebuy emerald armor, but that's super expensive. And so he still has this game breaking bug, and you're most certainly to notice one when they're in your game. Because it is disgusting, because if he's putting you back to iron armor all the time and he's in warrior armor, well, he's gonna win. Next up we got Wizard, A tier. This is a Chad kit for stealing loot and slowing enemies. Also, Doctor Strange is cool. If you haven't seen my Doctor Strange video, go check it out. It's pretty good. Next up you got Yeti, C tier. This is only really useful when there's a builder on bed defense, because you're better off just using fireballs or TNT to break open a bed defense. But if you're really desperate, you could use Yeti there. But mainly the only time I think I wish I had a Yeti was when there's a builder who's upgraded the bed defense. And that brings us into our last kit for this tier list video, and that is going to be Yuzi. Now, what do you guys think I'm going to say about Yuzi? It's S tier, and it's S tier as in sweats. Okay, so that's going to wrap up our tier list video. If you're very upset and very mad, take just a quick deep breath for me and realize that it's my opinion and our opinions are allowed to be different. On that note, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I think we should wrap up this video by thanking those YouTube members. So, thank you Mama Peace, Redwood Deadwood, Easter Axolotl, A9 Gaming, Darkest Troller, Finally Cringe, Giftogen, Epic Gaming, and Wolfite. Thank you all so much for being members of the channel, and on that note, I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.